Fellas and felleritas, so Chris Weidman is back in the win column, which is a big relief to me because I love Chris Weidman. He's one of my favorite champions of all time. Of all the people I could maybe train with someday, he's at the top of the list. It's like him and then Gaethje. I love the two of them. They're fantastic. Colby Covington, too. I would like to train with Colby. Anyways, he's back in the win column. Happy to see it. But he did it via eye pokes. I hate eye pokes. I think they are a bane in the existence of the MMA world. I think one eye poke will change the outcome of a fight. And although Chris Weidman did not win via TKO, he won via decision, ununanimous. It was weird how he won. At first, they said he won because of the eye poke as a TKO. And then they said, all right, we're not going to call it TKO, which makes no difference. No difference at all. Chris Weidman still gets twice the purse. I will give him the benefit of the doubt that it was an accident. But eye pokes, I've got over 80 fights. I've never once eye poked anyone. I've never kicked anyone in the groin either. Now, the groin, I don't kick much, so maybe that's the thing. The eye pokes, I punch constantly. I was arguing with some people in comments, and they said, oh yeah, Sam, you're going to argue with Mighty Mouse Jon Jones and Leon Edwards? First off, when I first started fighting, Jon Jones was eye poking everyone. In the back, there was actually the Jon Jones rule. That's what they called it. They said, listen, as you're fighting, you can't be pawing out there. This is your warning now. Do not paw out there. It was the Jon Jones rule. That's what, I don't know if it's still called that backstage, but for a long time, the referees hate the Jon Jones rule. Don't paw anymore. Leon Edwards, he is the champion because he eye poked Belal Muhammad. That's not quite true. Like, maybe Belal would have won. Maybe Leon. The fight was a no contest because of an eye poke. Mighty Mouse. Mighty Mouse is maybe the most talented fighter that has ever been. Thank God he's only 125 and not my size because he'd beat the brakes off me. I don't believe he's a big eye poker. I don't believe he's a guy that reaches out very much. But if he does, eye pokes are one of two things. One, it's intentional. Two, it's bad form. There's no reason to be reaching out there. When I'm punching, and I clinch a lot, you're punching. Everything you're doing is punching. Reaching out is not strategically sound outside of threatening somebody's eyes. When I fought Elias Theodorou, although, rest in peace, although it was one of the worst fights in UFC, it was a terrible fight. He point sparred me and all that. Every time I came, he would poke at me. He'd poke at my eyes. And so I didn't engage nearly as much. And then he'd kick and he'd point. It was a terrible fight that I lost. It is what it is. I then went on to win 6 fights in a year, and it was fantastic. I had a good year after that fight, but that fight was a bad one. Then I've got Wellington Turman, who poked me in the eyes. It was between 6 and 7 times in 15 minutes. Lost 2 points, and that was it. Backstage, the referee actually said, hey, this is your warning now. No eye pokes. Keep the fingers down if you were just taking a point. He poked me freaking 3 times before he lost a point. Then he lost another point, and he still won. Eye pokes will change the course of a fight with one eye poke. If everyone's been poked in the eye, but nobody's been poked in the eye when fighting, when it's like a real punch, when you're tickling the back of the brain, that is what an eye, it is the most debilitating strike there is. When you go to traditional martial arts where it's more of a self-defense, less of a sport, that's why you attack the eyes, throat, and the groin, because they're debilitating. They're an instant KO. You get poked in the eye, it now makes you think. Even if you could open your eye and you can see again, you can make it work. That poke in the eye at one time, well now, one, your vision is not as good. You are squinting a little bit more. 2, you are worried about it happening again, so you're not engaging fully. That's something people don't often think about. They think about, oh, you said he's fine. No, I am now aware that you're going to poke me in the eye. I am now aware that if I come forwards, that eye rake is going to be there, and I don't want to come forwards anymore. It changes the way the fight happens. The talk of the town is they want the UFC to change from the UFC glove, which I love the glove. If they wanted to change, I don't think it would make any difference. I've used Bellator gloves. I've not used PFL gloves, but I've used MFC. I've used gloves with, that force your hands closed. I've still been poked in the eyes with them. It doesn't help that much. I believe the official stats are, it's in Bellator at least, and there's a lot less fights, and the stat is, it's not a fair stat because there's so many more fights in the UFC. UFC, the UFC stat is 1 in 10 fights has an eye poke. Bellator's is 2 in 44, which is 1 in 22 pokes have an eye poke. There's a lot. It's not a fair stat, but it doesn't help that much. It's about double in the UFC. The gloves don't help either which way. They don't. I've heard rumors that fighters say they're pulling the fingers open. They aren't. It is the easiest thing in the world to make a fist, to keep a fist. You're fighting. There's no reason for your hands to be out at the face. I'm punching the face. If I want to clinch because I'm getting rocked, boom, and my fingers come out, bad technique. Again, it's a bad technique. If I'm punching and I want that clinch, I can miss and then I'll open the hand and pull everything back in. There is no reason. It does not help with distance. It does not help with anything. What it helps with is makes my opponent know I'm looking for his eyes, or I could attack his eyes. That is all that does. There is no other benefit to it. I don't care if GS friggin' P, the greatest fighter of all time, were to tell me that it's a good distance technique. He would be wrong. Those fighters that do the eye pokes do them strategically and then become some of the greatest who have ever been. Jon Jones rule, Leon Edwards, who I think he's only had the one eye poke, maybe he's had a couple. Those that are great tend to know the rules and play with the rules. You'll get a warning, right? What I think will help far more than any glove change would be immediate point deduction. If it happens twice, you lose. That's it. Immediate. And if you get poked in the eye once and you say you can't continue, you win. That's it. So you don't have to go twice. You just win. If an eye poke happens, it will change the way the fight happens. It will change the way people continue to fight or want to fight. It's ridiculous. I think if you were to start finding people half their purse by giving them a loss, you lose because you eye poke, nobody will eye poke anymore. Bellator changed their gloves, so now the hands are more down like this. You'll still get an eye poke. It'll still happen. You'll just rotate your wrist slightly more. You'll still get the eye poke. As soon as you decide, all right, eye pokes are an immediate point, which is more or less a lost fight. Twice is a lost fight. You will lose half your purse. You will end eye pokes. Over 80 fights, I've never eye poked anyone. I have been eye poked more than just about anyone. 6 fights in one against Turman. I've been poked in Ross Levine. I've been poked in Elias Theodorou. I've been poked in almost all of my fights. It's ridiculous how often I get. If I don't get eye poked, I get headbutted. But I digress. If you want to solve the eye poke, you have to start finding the fighters. Tell them if you eye poke, you are going to lose. They will then train not to eye poke. Right now, I know I get one. I know I could rake your eyes, and I'm not going to get a point taken away. I'll just make it. It was an accident. I didn't mean to. As they come in to attack, I put that finger out. It is brilliant on my part because I know I'm not going to lose the fight. He's probably not even going to lose a point. We need to put an end to that. I hate that. Jon Jones rule. I wrote down. I've had so many people come at me in the comments. Oh, you just change the gloves. You don't. I had one guy trying to explain to me how a seatbelt. They try to compare different gloves to seatbelts. It's like saying you're going to wear a seatbelt because you're scared of death. No, you're going to wear a seatbelt because you're scared of getting a ticket. You're scared of losing money. Same thing with the UFC or any MMA organization. As soon as you take money for eye poking, people will stop doing it. Right now, the rule is you get one, and then you can scare them with it all you want more. It's a rule that if I was smarter or braver, I should play with. I can get one. I can try and make one happen. I don't know if it will. Anything else I wanted to say? No reason to. What did I write? No reason to. I don't know what I wrote. Take money. You don't need new gloves. If you want new gloves, I don't care. Wear new gloves. I don't think it'll help that much. It helped a little bit in Bellator. But again, it's not a fair study because there's a lot more fights in the UFC. Tell me what you think. Do we need to change the gloves? Am I right? Just change the pay structure, change the penalties for doing it. Thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate it. If you have any advice for me, I got a fight maybe coming up. I'm going to make a video here. My foot's officially broken. It's not good. It's like the doctor's actual words were, "Wow, it's really broken." I said, "Oh, well, thanks." He said, "Quit walking on it." I said, "Okay, I have not quit walking on it yet, but I'm going to. I've got a boot. I'm going to keep the weight off it." Thank you guys for watching. The gloves are great. Anyone complaining about them's a baby. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you again.